your sleep is so bad, right, you cannot make sane decisions. If you don't get those hours between 6 and 8, you cannot make logical decisions.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. More importantly, if you've got a problem that you cannot solve the day before, your brain in sleep, in that part of sleep, will come up with a solution for you. So when you open the mirror, oh, I know what to do. You have that moment where your brain has actually come up with a solution.
So now when you deal with somebody on stress, what are the things which you note down, and how do you work with them?
The patient fills out a questionnaire. Modern doctors do not ask the patient what their symptoms are. We do. We base everything on symptoms. What are your symptoms of stress, right? We have a specific stress questionnaire that actually identifies whether you have a stress problem or not. Having an interview like this is passing along information so that you can do preventative things. A lot of people just go through life and they're not aware of all these different options.
That's true.
And I'm interviewing with you now, and even you said, I'm going to get my sleep into a regular pattern, right? I'm going to go to bed early, I'm going to do this, that, and the other. So having something like this brought to your attention means that, I can do something about that, and I'm going to change my life forever.
A tiny butterfly-shaped organ, so many functions depend on that. Yes, I'm talking about thyroid, which is sitting right on our neck. And so many functions are controlled by that. American Association of Thyroid says that more than 20 million people are having thyroid function problem. 60% of people are not even aware of their thyroid issues. 1 among every 10th Indian have thyroid problem. In fact, females have more thyroid issues than the men. So today with Dr. Turner, we are going to find out what are the reasons of the thyroid issues, why females are more likely to have thyroid issues, and also we are going to talk about his latest device, which is extremely pain-free, very easy to access, and which gives the accurate result, almost the accurate result, more than the existing thyroid results. So let's talk to Dr. Turner today. So, like I said, today we have Dr. Turner with us. He is PhD. He has found up a lovely device which is called Thyroflex, and he is an hormone expert, particularly working with thyroid, adrenals, and all the amazing men and female hormones. So, yeah, let's have a conversation with him today. So, hello, Dr. Turner. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling really good, energetic.
Great.
But my energy is always good because I actually take my own medications.
Okay, so Dr. Turner, you have been doing a massive research in the field of thyroid. Particularly, you have come up with this one amazing device which is called Thyroflex. Firstly, I wanted to ask you that what was the need in the society? Why did you? How did you find this vacuum which was there? Which you fulfilled by Thyroflex?
Patients were coming in, and they come in with all the symptoms of being subclinical hypothyroid. Subclinical is a term that we as doctors made up because they come in with the symptoms, but their blood tests wouldn't match up. Okay. So they come in sick, we'd have a look at their bloods, which is what is traditionally done here, and in different countries around the world since the mid-1970s. And would say, we can't do anything for you because your blood tests appear to be normal. And we send them home. In other words, they crawl in the door wanting help. We'd have to send them home without help. Now, in medical school, we're all taught, every single doctor in the world is taught, the reflexes speed up and slow down with thyroid function.
Exactly, yeah.
So I decided to tackle the hypothyroid blues, as it's called, because people who have thyroid disorders are not very well.
Yeah.
And I decided to, with modern technology, measure the speed of the reflexes, which we used to judge by visually.
Well, that's a very interesting concept, because I know that it gives a very, very almost very accurate result than the existing thyroid test which we have. But what was the gap which TSH testing was not able to fulfill, and uh, how much of that problem is solved by your Thyroflex?
Let's put it this way. For the couple of hundred years before they went to blood in the mid-1970s, there was always speed of the reflex. As soon as the baby's born, they do a heel kick test, right, to judge the speed of the reflexes.
Exactly.
When I was a boy in the 1940s and 1950s, my doctor used to sit me on his chair, on his table, hit me with a reflex hammer on my knee, and judge the speed of my reflexes and ask me some symptoms.
Yeah.
Decided whether I needed to have any thyroid or not. So the basis of what I'm doing is very ancient, very old, and very, very effective. An eye think tank in the mid-1970s decided it takes too much time, too much effort, we'll just use blood. Unfortunately, according to the head of the Endocrinology Society in Europe, Sir Dr. Richard Bayliss, he said at the endocrinology meeting a few years ago that none, NONE, be it TSH, as you just mentioned, T3, T4, free T3, free T4, are valid for determining thyroid function. None of the blood tests. And he went on to say that the only things that are valid are the deep tendon reflexes, which we induce with the Thyroflex, as you just mentioned, and the symptoms, which are out of my endocrinologist's handbook. With those two things, we have a system that is able to determine thyroid function 98.5% accurate.
Wow, 98.5%, that's a lot of accuracy.
Yes.
I don't know any device or any blood test giving that much accuracy. I mean,
It's not.
there is so much of
Yeah.
major error.
Yeah.
So, it's a revolutionary product, that means, because 98.5% efficiency. So, is it a kind of product which one can use at home? Like it's a...
No, the
Home use-
doctor has to use it in his office. He sits you down, you put your arm on his table, he does a couple of hits on your arm, your hand goes up and down. It takes 4 minutes and he's got the results. For the first time in the doctor's life, he knows exactly how much thyroid to give you. Before, he used to go, the wind's blowing this way, I will try this much
Okay.
thyroid.
Okay.
I've taken the guessing game out of how much thyroid a person needs. We can get exactly right every single time once we've determined whether you're hypothyroid, or euthyroid. We also are able to detect with the system, which we'll go into later, whether you're Hashimoto's, Graves, or reverse T3, or something called hashitoxicosis, which no one has even heard about in
Yeah.
India, which
Yeah.
we deal with day in and day out.
That sounds a lot of knowledgeable content.
Sounds like a big word.
Yeah, I actually, it's it is a big word. But how did this feeling? Why did you enter in this field? Let me going back a little
Okay,
bit.
going back 27 years, I invented the device. I have the worldwide patents of it. It's the only device of its type in the world because I hold all the intellectual property. I did clinical trials on 2,200 people over 3 years, which is required, by the way,
Yes.
to get the FDA approval. I have FDA CE, FASCI, and TGA approvals, which covers most of the world.
Yeah.
I have my machines in 28 countries. And since then, in February of last year, we passed patient number 2 million.
Wow.
So we've got quite a few patients, and 1/3 of a million of those were autoimmune, which I was a doctor who discovered the cure for the autoimmunity, Hashimoto's, with great success.
Wow. So you were always interested into this field, like you were always,
Hormones.
yeah,
The field
hormones
of
was
male
your
and female
thing.
hormone. Yeah, I do all the male and female hormones.
Yeah.
As well as what we call the core hormones. The core hormones involve sleep, stress, iodine, CoQ10, and thyroid.
These are also very interesting topic. I'm very excited to know more about CoQ10 and iodine and things like that. But before we move to that, I would, ask you that how sleep, because sleep is again something which controls our whole body, our entire, growth hormone or any kind of, general well-being as well. How is sleep is connected with the thyroid or any other hormones? Like how is everything interconnected?
I just got commissioned a year ago to write 5 books. The first one is on sleep, the second one's on stress, third one's on thyroid, next one's on autoimmune, the next one is on DNA, RNA,
Okay.
which I specialize in. Sleep plays a major factor, influencing factor on the thyroid function. When we look at the thyroid, I have to look at all those things. I have to look at sleep, adrenal function, which is stress, thyroid, CoQ10, because sleep plays a major factor in me being able to balance the core hormones. That's what is known as the Dr. T's core hormones, which, by the way, many of the specialists and doctors in India just say that the system that I have developed is quite brilliant. So just before I came here, I was with a patient, and I said, you got this, and this. But I said, your sleep is so bad, right? You cannot make sane decisions.
Yeah.
In other words, her sleep, I have to address first before I address anything. Then I address the stress, and then I address the thyroid. I've got to work backwards through the system. Just because of sleep. The sleep is divided into 2 parts. One is getting asleep, one is staying asleep. In my book, I talk about the essential part of sleep is between hours 6 and 8.
That's a REM sleep.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Uh-huh.
You've read my book, haven't you?
Well, I'm sure I've read a lot of books of yours.
If you don't get those hours between 6 and 8, you cannot make logical decisions. It's as simple as that. Between hours 6 and 8, and I don't want to go too deep in it yet because I know you asked me some questions about this later. Between hours of 6 and 8 is where the computer in your brain takes all the snippets of bits of information, is flushed all the junk through a cleaning system into your lymph system that doesn't want to keep, and then through hours of 6 and 8 it files all the different files of what has happened the day before, so it can later retrieve them.
Okay.
And more importantly, if you got a problem that you cannot solve the day before, your brain in sleep, in that part of sleep, will come up with a solution for you. So when you open the mirror, I know what to do. You have that moment where your brain has actually come up with a solution.
Yeah, in fact, I like to share a little thing. So, when I learned this practice a lot later in my life, but when I'm very stuck, I'm not able to make decision, I just write the question, whatever I need the answer, and I keep next to my, bedside and sleep over it. And if I had a good sleep, then I would know the answer. I would know how to solve it.
Absolutely true.
But if I don't have a good sleep, then I'm like more puzzled with the questions.
That is exactly true.
Yeah.
It's between hours 6 and 8 where your brain actually comes up with solutions. There's a very, very famous composer, and he just couldn't get a part of his music right. And he'd practice all day, and then he went to sleep on it, and he got a full 8-hour sleep, and he woke up, and he went to the straight piano, and he finished the concerto to perfection.
Is it the Mozart?
His brain, I'm not quite sure which composer, but someone like that.
Yeah. Okay.
He had the answer.
Yeah. I mean, it's lovely that how subconsciously, consciously, your mind, everything else is working. But I just love the way you explained us in an hourly basis that this time to this time this function is happening, this time to this time this function is happening, and how everything is being again reprocessed, recharged while we are sleeping.
Yes.
So, I read somewhere that at the time between 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. is the time when melatonin, a certain hormone which releases, which takes care of your growth hormone, and everything else also happens during the same time. But the challenging thing is that I don't sleep at 10 p.m. So I sleep at 12. I mean, I'm working on it, so I'm sleep at 12, and then I'm always guilty of this. Okay, or should I miss 2 hours of my growth hormone release? And who doesn't want a nice pump of growth hormone?
Well, there's a thing called the cascade of hormones that happens. And these cascade of hormones means that your adrenals have got to be right for you to get enough sleep. And that's why the adrenals or the stress hormones play an important role in sleep. When they peak at 6 a.m. in the morning.
Okay.
So that's when it's been dripping, going drip, drip, drip all night until your glass is full. Once it is full, it wakes you up naturally after 8 hours and 10 minutes sleep. Then it goes down, there's a little upswing just after lunch, and it goes down until you have a thing called fight or flight reserve at night time. At 10 o'clock at night, 9:30 at night, you should be getting ready for bed, none of this midnight stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a thing called tryptophan. So the cortisol, when it gets down to a certain level, trips on a thing called tryptophan. Tryptophan gets you out of your chair and makes you want to go to the bathroom, have a shower, clean your teeth, etc., get ready for bed. It's about 15 minutes. Then it rolls over into a thing called serotonin. The serotonin is the next 15-minute cycle where you jump into bed, you talk to your husband, your partner, you read a book, nothing electronic in your bedroom, and then it rolls over into something called melatonin. And that's what you're just asking about, melatonin. Melatonin is the hormone that keeps you asleep for 8 hours and 10 minutes exactly. I don't go to the bathroom at all. I go to bed, I go to sleep and I have exactly 8 hours and 10 minutes sleep. I'll wake up fresh as a daisy. I'm ready to run a marathon. And that is what's supposed to happen.
Yeah, so if you monitor your entire hormone, the whole day hormone, and we follow what we are supposed to do, like, the release of tryptophan you said, right? Where you need to shut down and go a little slow and then focus on serotonin, the time duration when serotonin is releasing, you just read, relax, and then eventually the melatonin, right? So to follow the entire chain, we need to take, of course, social media, shut down your phones, don't be in any electronics. That's how you can calm down your mind, right?
There are other ways of calming down your mind. I've just covered it in my new book called Doctor, I Cannot Sleep.
Oh, I like the book name already.
And it's been published in India here as well by Barrison.
Okay.
Or Red Ink. And I go into the techniques of, number one, getting asleep, the preparation to get to sleep and to stay asleep. And it's a very easy to follow, drug-free program or protocol that's been very successful over many, many, many years. Part of that is with music, to modulate the brain from beta to alpha. In other words, in brain waves like this, you want to smooth them out, right? That means you calm your brain all the day with music, not for listening to, you can barely hear it. It's a certain type of music that's clinically proven to calm your brain down. And then we get the room to be very cold. It's got to be 68 degrees or less. You have a hot shower and you follow these certain procedures. And not only will you get to sleep, you will stay asleep. Not overnight, but gradually you get sleep.
Improve your
sleep. I have a very well-known patient here who was at the conference where I met you. Her name is Poonam. She hadn't slept for 30 years.
Oh my God.
Because she'd been an air hostess originally for Air India. Very prestigious back then. And her schedule was international air hostess. She was based in London, was horrendous. And she was on heavy-duty sleeping pills. I've got her 100% off her sleeping pills. I've got her onto melatonin, 5-HTP, which is tryptophan serotonin, and she follows the rules, and she's getting incredible. For the first time in the last 30 years, she's getting the proper type of sleep. She her whole demeanour has changed. Her smile has changed. Her ability to make decisions has changed. What a remarkable turnaround. Now I'm addressing her stress hormones.
Oh, wow. I mean, they say the beauty sleep does exist. So, yeah, I mean, that's a
Yes.
clear proof of that. I'm going to work on that. And I'm also going to read your book, Doctor, I Can't Sleep. So, now coming to the stress hormones. You know, like when you work with any patient of yours, you just said that patient who is now having a good sleep and also is able to take decisions, everything. So now when you deal with somebody on stress, what are the things which you note down, and how do you work with them?
Good. The patient fills out a questionnaire. Modern doctors do not ask the patient what their symptoms are. We do. We base everything on symptoms. What are your symptoms of stress, right? We have a specific stress questionnaire that actually identifies whether you have a stress problem or not. If you have a stress problem, we address your stress. Unfortunately, I got stressed driving here because we were late and we're in heavy traffic, right? And all these cars were pulling in front of us, doing U-turns and causing
Chaos, yeah.
traffic
Unnecessary
jams
chaos and
unnecessarily. And I felt a little bit stressed. I should have just closed my eyes and not looked, but I was saying, we've got to be there, or I've got to be there. So it induced a stress response in me. Stress response, of course, affects the cortisol. If you go through that day after day after day and you can't get out of it, whether it's from your job, and there's a whole lot of problems that can reduce your cortisol, from your marriage to your money to your job to medications to caffeine to white flour, it goes on and on and on, then it's going to reduce the amount of cortisol you have. Your cortisol is your energy. So think of a glass of water here.
Yeah.
It should be full to the top when you wake up in the morning. Most people, it's down to here, and by 2 to 4 p.m., it's empty. They have no more reserves left to get through the day. They feel tired. You start to feel tired between 2 and 4 p.m., but you won't put your body to sleep, right? You need sleep for you to build up your reserves, but you have to go until 8 or 9 or 10, or in your case, midnight again. It's called second wind.
Yeah.
Second wind is very, very bad to your health. You have no cortisol left. So we, over a period of time, identify that, and we build up the amount of cortisol reserve you have slowly over a 6-month period, filling this cup back up again. You got to say, why is that necessary?
Yeah.
When you run out of cortisol between 2 and 4 p.m., you feel tired and exhausted, and the body's saying, give me a rest, and you won't. So what it does...
Or caffeine. Either caffeine or rest.
You call on artificial stimulants like caffeine, but more importantly, your body turns to something called blood sugar. And we can measure that in a thing called A1C. And it turns to lipids because it needs those energy sources. So it starts pumping out blood sugar and lipids. If you don't exercise and wear the lipids off, for instance, that's pumping into your bloodstream to give you energy, you're pushing yourself to thickening of the interior arterial walls towards heart attack and stroke. And of course, if you keep on pumping out little packets of blood sugar, you're pushing yourself towards diabetes. And that's why a lot of people come to us. The A1C is out of range, but they say, doctor, I've been dieting, I've been exercising, but they're under so much stress that they end up pre-diabetic or diabetic, even though they're slim and trim. And so stress has a major consequence, not only on those two actions of heart attack, stroke, diabetes, but it also has other major influences on the thyroid at 3 different levels. It can influence the action of the thyroid.
So stress, of course, seems like a precursor of for a lot of disease out there, and so many times, you know, like you shared an incident that how traffic is there and people are overlapping. I mean, this certain kind of situations where one gets stressful. But if somebody is falling for a long period of stress, what can they take care? Like, what is that one thing they can do?
We give them the same techniques we use for sleep can be used for stress.
Okay.
Modulation of the brain waves and relaxation, breathing and relaxation exercises in conjunction. And we combine that with a thing called bioadrene that we have, which is 4 different hormones
Okay.
that allows the adrenals to recover. See, if your adrenals get too pushed out, you end up with something called reverse T3, RT3, which hasn't been able to be tested in India until I've just made arrangements for it to be tested for the very first time.
Okay.
Reverse T3 is dangerous. It can kill the patient if they don't get it addressed. And of course, if you keep on pushing and pushing past that, you can get something called Cushing's or Addison's. And a little fatty hump forms on the back of your neck with Cushing's. And that is the start of a mental and nervous breakdown, which you can never, ever recover from. So stress does play a very major, important role in your life. The symptoms they're talking about with diseases, the main driving force behind that is actually your thyroid. So it's a combination of your adrenals and thyroid. So the sleep affects your brain. The adrenals or stress modulators affect the ability of your thyroid to perform, which pushes you into a whole myriad of diseases that you do not want to go down. In fact, that with a combination of iodine, and that's where we address the iodine and a non-functioning hereditary thyroid disorder pushes you into autoimmune.
Okay, wow. So I love the way you have connected everything, and yes, everything is connected. Thyroid with the stress, and stress with the thyroid with the stress, and stress with the cortisol, and cortisol again with the other diabetic and things like that, and then eventually everything like Cushing's syndrome and all the autoimmune disease, Addison and Cushing, they are autoimmune diseases like this. How everything leads to another. I think it's actually, I'm going to work on my sleep for sure. These fabulous tests are amazing. You did mention that how these 4 adrenal hormones, which you have started testing with the patient, which you brought in India for the testing, the adrenal.
Yes, so we've just got approved by FSAI to bring in special adrenal formula that addresses adrenal exhaustion. We find it very, very common, a lot more common in India than other countries, because India, you have to get out there and you really have to battle to do everything.
A lot of time, yeah.
It's not easy. From government rules and regulations to just going in and out of a car park, let alone driving on the streets, is stressful. So I think the average Indian person, from what I'm finding, is subjected to a lot more stressors than the average person living in Europe, Australia, or America, where the populations are a lot smaller. Yeah. And also, the other stressor that you have here is the air that you're breathing. It is so toxic that it's putting heavy metals into your body non-stop. The patient that I saw before I just came here, she was full of mercury and cadmium and aluminium and all these other strange things, petrochemicals, that she's breathing not only through the air but in the food that she's ingesting.
That's right.
Yeah, because you can't escape it. There's no escape unless you live up in the Himalayas.
That's so true. I mean, we do are surviving. I mean, cities in a lot of metro cities are like that. There is a lot of pollution. You cannot deny. You cannot. But at least best what one can do is, get your test regularly done. Follow the things which you can improvise your life. I mean, whatever the science, the advanced things, whatever is there, just follow those. I think, one can at least do that. I mean, follow your sleep pattern. Improve on those.
Having an interview like this is passing along information so that you can do preventative things. A lot of people just go through life and they're not aware of all these different options.
That's true.
And I'm interviewing with you now, and even you said, I'm going to get my sleep into a regular pattern, right? I'm going to go to bed early, I'm going to do this, that, and the other. So having something like this brought to your attention means that, I can do something about that, and I'm going to change my life forever.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. It was a good learning experience. So, before, I mean, almost we are at the end of the show, Dr. Turner. A very interesting question, which I wanted to know, like forever when I met you. What is your routine like? When do you begin your day, and what is your routine every day?
First of all, I don't have a problem with sleep. I'm an 8-hour and 10-minute sleeper per night, no toilet breaks, nothing.
Oh, yeah.
I get up early, quite early, about 6:30 a.m., and I do not want to have any food because your body can only do one thing at a time. I exercise. Now, I used to be a competitive runner, a marathoner, but now I walk because I'm pretty old. No, I'm age challenged. Yeah. I've far outlived the average life expectancy of any Indian. So I am age. I'm born in the 1940s. Come on.
No, but you don't
that
look.
Adds up.
You don't look the.
But I exercise every day, every single day, not just on flat surface, up and down, up and down. All I do is walk, right? A half an hour minimum, if I don't have time, to 1 hour every day. When I'm in Australia, I swim. I go for a little swim in the ocean. Then I come back and have breakfast. I'm in a good relationship. I've been married 52 years.
Wow.
I'm in my 53rd year to the same wife, happily married.
That's
and
lovely.
that makes a big difference because I don't have any stress. We don't argue. We don't do anything. We've had a very smooth life because we're both on the same page. And that makes a big difference to your life.
It does.
I take 28 pills a day, right? I take testosterone, I take CoQ10, I take iodine iodate, I take D3K2, I take a whole myriad of things that I know that I need as I age. You don't need a lot of them when you're younger, but as you age, you do need them. See, the average life expectancy in India up until 1941 was 25 years of age. 1941, it reached 30 years of age. Since then, it's been going up and up and up. Well, you don't realize that you need all these additional things to make sure that you're living a good, healthy, energetic life. I keep my stress to a minimum as much as I can, even though I was in Hyderabad this morning and worked all day, and I've been taking phone calls on the way here and seeing patients on the way here and from the airport, but I'm not tired, right?
Yeah.
I'm full of energy. When it's bedtime, I will go to bed. I won't push it. So, number one, happy life. Number two, exercise. Number three, I happen to eat all organic, as does my family, my children and my grandchildren, 100% organic. We do get the opportunity part of the year to grow our own vegetables. And I make sure that I maintain my hormones at a certain level to cope with the loss of hormones as you age. Men and women go into menopause and perimenopause. You've got to start before you hit those points. We haven't covered this in this interview because I do specialize in this. You have to make sure you're taking estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, IGF-1, human growth factor hormone, and a few other those hormones to make up for the loss as we age. As I said, in India, before the 1940s, you didn't have to worry about it. Even up until 1970, you didn't have to worry about it. You didn't live long enough.
Exactly.
But now you have to be cognizant. If you want to live with a quality of life, and there's not living longer, there's about quality of life.
That's right.
I might die at the same age whether I took them or not, but I'm not going to have Alzheimer's, I'm not going to have Parkinson's, I'm not going to have all the other modalities, and I have got quality of life. And that is the whole purpose of the work and the body of work that I do, is about quality of life. I give people back, sleep-wise, adrenal-wise, hormonal-wise, thyroid-wise, autoimmune-wise, the quality of their life.
Oh, that was an amazing conversation, and personally, I learned a lot today, and I am going to work on all the pointers which you taught us today. And I think to live a long, healthy longevity of the life depends on the quality of the life. You well articulated it amazingly that if we want a long life, it has to be a quality life, living healthy and walking around and with complete awareness of everything.
Yes. May I add one thing?
Yes,
May
please.
Interject. Okay. Just before COVID, I was invited to give a talk in Bangalore to the big group of women called FICCI, the FICCI group. 98% of them had a thyroid disorder.
Yeah.
90% of them were autoimmune. There's one thing that stuck out and still sticks out in my life. It said, "Doctor, we now have the money. My husband wants to retire. He wants to travel. He wants to do this and that." And they said, "All I want to do is sit on the couch and not move."
Just don't have energy.
Their waists are going like this, right? The quality of life at a fairly young age has gone.
Yeah.
They have access to enjoyment. They have the access not to worry about money, family, anything, and they cannot do it. I gave a talk to all of these FICCI women in Bangalore just pre to COVID. The hall was packed. In fact, it was so packed that there's standing room only around the edges of the hall. I'm an interactive speaker, as you saw. I get out into the crowd, pick on them. I do that more so than at these other
we are
venues.
extremely friendly.
And these women were giving me feedback. They said, "Look, doctor, my husband wants to do all these things," and they're saying, "All I want to do is just sit on the couch. I'm too exhausted, too tired to do anything. He wants to travel here and travel here." She's, "No. I don't want to do this. I want to do that." And so they've reached the pinnacle of success in their lives.
Yeah.
They have the wherewithal to do everything, and they are at a young age exhausted and tired. They cannot enjoy the fruits of their successful life. And that struck a chord with me. I thought, what a shame that they didn't identify this earlier.
Yeah.
And they couldn't get the help through clinics like ours earlier, where they could have got the help that they needed to improve substantially the quality of life. Instead of walking around with aches and pains and in their joints and trouble getting up, no energy, putting on weight, their waists are going like this, and they all basically said, "We're too exhausted, we want to do it, but we're too exhausted."
Yeah, that's really a sad thing when you can access anything in the world, you have ample time, but you are not able to do just because you didn't maintain your health when you were younger.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a lovely takeaway. Thank you so much, Dr. Turner. It was a fabulous, fabulous conversation, and I am sure our listeners out there learned a lot. And if anyone wants to, reach you, how can they reach you?
We have a center called My Thyroid Zone.
My Thyroid Zone.
Yes.
Okay.
And you can look that up on the web.
Okay.
You can go to our website, www.nitecmedical.com.
Okay.
Yeah, we have staff doctors here on my staff. We're at our clinics. We do Zoom calls. Which is telemedicine with anyone in India.
Correct.
And my doctors are Indian doctors. They're fully certified and fully trained to deal with hormones. Or you can see them face to face. We have a clinic in Bangalore, a clinic in Hyderabad, and a clinic in New Delhi.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Dr. Tan. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.